Hello and welcome to Book Diction. This is the first episode and it's also a book haul. My name's Bebe and there are two things I love. One is books and two is buying more books. And I have quite a lot of books to get through today because I bought a few this month. Not as much as previous months, but I've been quite good. And the first book I actually won through Goodreads and it is Shadow Heart by Pamela Tapper. Now, I don't really know much about it, but according to the blurb, it sounds like a really interesting read. And it's based about family saga, addiction and abuse, and that sounds kind of fun. It sounds dark and mysterious, and that is some kind of stuff that I do like. Now, the next one is one I picked up from a charity shop, very cheaply, where most of my books come from, and it's by Philip Reeves. And it is Infernal Devices. I've never heard of this. I've heard of it mentioned, but it sounds really interesting and the cover looks really cool. If you probably can't tell, but it's all like lying me down. It's like scratchy noise, there's all an octopus on it, which reminds me of the Soulless series by Gail Carriger, because the same. But this is one that I look forward to reading to when I get around to it. And I'm also on a bit of a Hobbit vibe as well, because I'm going through Lord of the Rings. I finished The Hobbit a week ago. I'm on the second book of Fellowship of the Ring, and this is the Silmarillion book that is also by J.R.R. Tolkien, which he co-wrote with his son, or his son wrote it after he died. I'm not exactly sure, but this is kind of centred around Middle-earth, but it's not exactly located to the Hobbit world. It doesn't contain Frodo to my knowledge. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my to-read list. And the next one is actually two here. They are the children's editions of the final two Harry Potter books. Now, I've owned all the Harry Potter books from when I was little, and I've only ever owned these two in adult covers, so I thought this one was £2, that one was £4, and you gotta give it a pre-love to classic Harry Potter. I mean, Harry freaking Potter! But this is one of my favourite series. This is the first series I ever read properly, and they are best. I mean, I've never seen the films. I don't think I want to see the films, but I kind of got the films in my head is different to these. But they are very good. And if you have read them, or if you haven't read them, go read them. Reread them. Everyone loves Harry Potter. It's brilliant. Now, the next book is one that I have read some of, because it's also in the Penguin All Black Classic series, and it is Dante's Inferno. And I've read like a third of this, and it's really good. Like, I don't really like classic poetry. Any of them epic poems I'm not a fan of, but this is good. And I'll tell you why. It seems more like a story than the way it's structured is like a story, and it has elements of a poem. And I enjoyed it. So now I'm going to read it all the way through. And then hopefully, by some point when I read this, which will be next year, knowing me, because I've got 100 odd books to read, then I will really like it. Also going on the classics vibe is George Orwell, Down Out in Paris, and London. I've read Animal Farm, I've read 1984. I've still to get the essays and the collected works, and there's some other books of his that I don't own. I don't own the non-fiction ones, but I do want to own them. But I love Animal Farm. I love 1984. It's my favourite book. I've got like 3 different versions of it now, and I will be getting more in the future. Like, my favourite version is from the 1970s, but I'm looking forward to reading this. And I don't know much about it, but it sounds like it's a fun read, but fun as in interesting, learning fun, not fun as in I'm having a party fun. But this is what I'm very excited for. And it's quite old. Like, the book's been out a while, and people should be read this by now, but I'm late to the party. I can live with this. And then one that is slightly newer, and which has a sequel that I do, or not a sequel, but a book by the same author follows around, is quite similar, is The Sky is Everywhere, from the same author as I'll Give You a Son, which I've seen in Waterstones and I've seen W.H. Smith's, and I really want to get that one because it looks so good. I mean, it's just the cover is like so standoutish. And I got this from a charity shop, and it also had the bookmarking, and it only cost me $1.99 from the kids section. But yes, I'm currently reading Eleanor Park, and I hope it's going to be something similar, because I do like Eleanor and Park. It's a good book. It's a really good book. And then the next two books I have are connected, as they both belong to Mr. Stephen King. There's Dr. Sleep and The Stand. And the only Stephen King I've ever read is Lizzie's Story, which I own in hardback, and I've also owned Carrie, which is non-hardback. It's an ebook. But I've read Carrie back 3 times. I've never read any other books he's done. But yes, they are 2 very pretty books. I do quite like the covers. I mean, there are different covers, and I want to get a paper copy of Carrie, not a version that's on my computer or it's on my phone, because I want to read Carrie more. It's a really, really good book. And I do plan to see the musical in London. If you are in London, or you can get to London, at the Southwark Playhouse, they are doing Carrie. Go see it. And then my final book is from one of my favourite authors ever, Margaret Atwood, Blind Assassin. I own Cat's Eyes, and I've also got A Handmaid's Tale, which I've read many times. The Cat's Eyes is one on my to-be-read list, and this is now also my to-be-read list. And it's a big old book, but I'm doing it for her, because she's a brilliant author. I don't have many authors I would just buy any book of, seeing I've only read one of hers, but she is definitely one of them. So is Sarah Waters, so is Philippa Gregory. Any book they write, I just buy it. Same as well with Tess Gerritsen, whose most books of hers I have owned at one point, but like blindly buying authors is something that I would not do for most people. I would have to think very long and hard about it. So, that is all the books I have bought so far in March. I will buy more next week, but I'm trying to restrict myself to like £10 a week, £10-15. But at the moment it's 12 books. That is quite good for me, seeing as I've been known to buy 20 books on one day on my own when I was shopping by myself. But that is the first one. I shall be doing a March wrap up at the end of the month about the books I've read, and I shall look forward to see you all then. And if you have any advice or comments about this, ways I can make it better, things that need improving, things you don't like, lighting maybe, which I'm not a fan of at the moment, but I have a tiny window in this room, and the only place I can actually film is in here, or the kitchen, which is not very nice. But if you have anything, just leave it in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. And as they say, get reading. Don't be a creeper, just read more. Love you. Bye.